Hi, third graders. Mrs. D here. Today, we're going to work in our Common Core Clinic book, the blue one that says Numbers and Operations in Base 10 and Fractions on the cover, to talk about whole numbers as fractions. So, boys and girls, in front of me here, I have page 40 and 41. So if you'd like, and probably it's a good idea to, you can follow along as I talk about this with you today and we work through the pages together. This is page 40 and 41. So fractions name part of a whole. We've learned that over the past few weeks. But sometimes fractions represent whole numbers. In other words, you can write a whole number as a fraction. There's a fraction name for whole numbers. Let's take a look at the first example here. This rectangle is divided into 6 equal parts. If we count them, we can see there are 6 equal parts. And I always suggest kids go ahead and show their work right on the model to count the parts. There they are, 6. All the parts are shaded. You can say that one whole rectangle, the whole thing, is shaded. So this model represents one whole. But you can also give this model a fraction name. You can say that 6/6 of the rectangle is shaded. And that's because of what the numerator and denominator of a fraction mean. This means 6 out of 6 total parts. So if 6 out of 6 parts are shaded, that represents one whole. Boys and girls, anytime the numerator and the denominator is the same, it's the fraction name for one whole. Let's continue. There's another way to think about fractions. The fraction bar means to divide the numerator by the denominator. A whole number can be written as a fraction by writing the whole number as the numerator and the number 1 as the denominator. And I'm going to show you this right now. For example, the whole number 8 can be written as 8 over 1. When you see a fraction with a denominator of 1, you read it as 8 wholes, because 8 over 1 really means 8 divided by 1, and 8 divided by 1 is 8. So the whole number 8 can be written as a fraction, boys and girls, that looks like this and sounds like 8 wholes. This symbol, the fraction bar symbol, also means divide. 8 divided by 1 is 8, and that's why 8 over 1, written in this way, means 8 wholes. When you read that fraction, 8 over 1, you say 8 wholes. So, boys and girls, you learned 2 things just now. You learned that you can represent the whole number 1 as a fraction with the same numerator and the same denominator, because this means 3 out of 3 parts, 3/3 is one whole. We can do it with 8/8 too. One whole is 8 out of 8 parts, or 8/8, so one whole. That's one thing we learned. We also learned that we can write any whole number as a fraction with a denominator of 1. So the number 9 has a fraction name with a denominator of 1. We write it like this, 9 over 1, and we say 9 wholes. Those are the 2 skills that we just practiced together, boys and girls, and that is what your Common Core Clinic book is going to ask you to do. Let's take a look at this same idea with number lines instead of with models. So what is the fraction name for 1 that has a denominator of 3 on this number line? So I'm just going to go ahead right now, because I know you've seen this before. I'm going to go ahead and write that fraction with a denominator of 3 next to the 1 on this number line. You learn, boys and girls, that you can name fractions on a number line by counting the number of equal parts. So there's 1 part, 2 parts, and 3 parts to this number line. If this is 1 out of 3 parts, this fraction should be 1/3. And if this is 2 parts out of 3, this fraction is 2/3. So what's the fraction name for 1, boys and girls, that has a denominator of 3 on this number line? Well, I already started it for you. Do you know what the fraction name for 1 with a denominator of 3 on this number line is? If you said 3/3, you're right. That's the fraction name for 1 whole that has a denominator of 3 when we're looking at this number line here. So take a look. The whole is divided into 3 parts. We just did that work together. Each part is 1/3, 1 part out of 3. The whole is 3/3. So the fraction name for 1 that has a denominator of 3 on this number line is 3/3. Whoops. Okay. Let's do some guided practice, and then you should feel confident to go on and do independent practice on your own. So let's walk ourselves through each of these steps. What is the fraction name of 6 that has a denominator of 1? Well, step 1, boys and girls, is to right away put 1 in there as the denominator. Remember, the denominator is the bottom of the fraction. Now, we need to think of a division fact. What number divided by 1 equals 6? If you said 6, you are right. 6 divided by 1 is 6. And so the fraction name for 6 that has a denominator of 1 is written like this, 6/1. You say 6 wholes. Let's continue. Oh, I did it again. All right. What's the fraction name for 1 that has a denominator of 8? Take a look at this number line. When we look at a number line and we need to name fractions on that number line, the first thing we have to make a noticing of is where it starts and where it ends. This starts at 0, it ends at 1, and represents 1 whole. The next step is to count out how many parts make up the whole. You can show your work every time by marking the number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Boys and girls, this number line has 8 equal parts. Remember, be careful of making the mistake of counting the tick marks. If you count the tick marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you are not going to get the correct answer when you answer a question like this, because 9 is the number of tick marks, not the number of equal parts. So we counted the equal parts, and there are 8. 8 parts make a whole on this number line. So now we have to figure out the size of each part, which really means 1 part. So this part out of 8 is going to be 1 part out of 8. Each part on this number line is 1/8. Each part. The next thing we do is write the missing fractions on the number line. So we have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and the fraction name for 1 on this number line that has a denominator of 8 is 8/8. Okay, boys and girls, now it's your turn. Do pages 42 and 43 in your Common Core Clinic book independently. You can watch this video as many times as you like, and you can also go back and read pages 40 and 41 in your book if you need help. Of course, if you're stuck, your teachers want to help you, so message us if that's the case. See you next time.